Hello, this is Riding with Ree. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new here. Today is my first lesson on Duke with my instructor Sarah. It is a lovely October afternoon. It's raining. It's probably going to rain for the next few hours. I'm trying to think of ways to put my pivot up so that it doesn't get covered in rain, but we'll see. First things first is to go and get Duke in from the field. I'm sure he'll be happy to come in. You're in! You're in! I thought you'd be in the field. Oh, you're nice and dry. Are your friends? Aw, aren't you a big softie, huh? Yeah, the big softie. Right, if he's already in, then I'm going to try and find his rain sheet. And then I'm going to try and figure out a way for me to have my pivo out so you can watch it without it getting covered in rain. I haven't figured out a way to do that yet. Got the rain sheet. Now I need to figure out the pivo. Are you ready for your lesson? Are you ready to learn lots of exciting things? Hey? You're very handsome. I think I figured out our way to do it. I think this is actually quite clever. So Duke knocked over his feed bowl, but when I started looking at it, I was like, kind of looks like a little pivo house, doesn't it? I'm just going to see if this is going to work. If it does, I'm going to give myself a bit of a pat on the back for this. Okay, so this is going to be my little pivo house, and hopefully it's going to capture everything. That's the plan. If it doesn't work, you'll know because this vlog will be about a minute long. Trusty Pivo is working, so let's dive into the lesson. We actually spent the first 15 minutes or so catching up. I haven't seen Sarah in a really long time, and so we let Duke have a long walk on a rein, especially because he's been in all day. I wanted to make sure that he had the chance to warm up properly, especially being such a big horse. So we caught up while I warmed up, and she sort of had a look at him and got the measure of him, and then it absolutely tipped it down, which is actually a really good advert for my Busigny riding coat. You might remember this coat from last year. It was gifted by EQUESTRIAN to me, and it is my absolute favourite long riding coat for wet weather. It is thin, so you can fit loads under it. It's waterproof, and it has loads of pockets. It's really, really good. Anyway, on to the actual work we did today. So we had a little regroup in the centre of the arena, and Sarah asked me to just trot round large and think about the scales of training. So straightness, rhythm, balance isn't on the scales of training, but it may as well be. All the basics, and just so that she could get a sense of my position. And I had mentioned to her that one thing that I was finding quite difficult with Duke is that my default sort of security position is to have my lower leg forward so that I feel secure, but in doing that on such a big horse like Duke, sometimes his movement was making me fall behind the movement, or I'd end up throwing myself in front of the movement, and so we were losing a lot of rhythm and balance, and so I was really asking for her help in looking at that. She looked at me on both reins, and then I came into the centre of the arena and we went back to real basics. We talked about position, and she reminded me that what is actually happening is that I'm sitting a little bit far back in the saddle, and when my leg is swinging forward, he is becoming unbalanced as well. So she asked me to really think about having my lower leg back, really, really far back. She was like, I want you to feel like you're touching his bottom, and then to rise up from my knees and my thighs, which is interesting because this was actually a comment that somebody put on my post the other day. They were like, why does my instructor keep saying that I should rise from my knees and my thigh? And I said, it's probably because your lower leg is unstable. So that was really interesting. Here she's talking about having a squat position, and we're practicing, and then she sends me back out on the trot circuit. And it just goes to show that you can never be too far along in your journey to go back to basics, especially not with a new horse. We then moved on to doing serpentines in walk, and the aim of this was for me to learn how to move his whole body at once, so both sides of his body equally because he's such a long horse, but also to increase his suppleness and help us start to build his top line and make him a little bit stronger. So we worked on that in walk first, then we went large in trot before adding a dreaded 20-meter circle where we spiraled in and out in trot.
When actually he needs to build up behind to give you that power. Good, now we're going to spiral the circle in towards me. And as much as he can do, gradually making it smaller. Keep that weight there. Keep that dropping. Keep that dropping. Light weight here. That's better. Good. The minute your legs go forward, he then slows down. Then you get left behind.
We then came off the circle, went large, and started using the 3/4 line to leg yield back to the track. I'm saying leg yield with very light inverted commas here because it wasn't a leg yield, it was a movement left and right. But again, it's about getting me to get him straight and move him off my leg either side of his body.
Well done. Now that's the most consistent he's stayed on this race so far, isn't it?
We then had a break where I took my feet out of the stirrups, Duke got a long rein. Both of us need to work on our fitness, so this was a nice chance to have a little break, reflect on the lesson so far before moving into the next part of the exercise, which I think was our final one, where we moved on to some work large and then we did some figure of eights. Of course, this lesson lasted for about 45 minutes to an hour, but I've cut this down into 5 minutes for you to keep it interesting. So that was pretty much it. First lesson on Duke, lots of focus on my position and my lower leg so that I can start to bring together what is not only a tall horse, but a long horse as well. It was really nice to be back in a lesson, to be sort of picking up the Rubik's Cube that is riding and figuring things out and getting things wrong and trying again and seeing improvement. Duke is a lovely horse who I feel like I'm learning so much from already. So I'm really looking forward to learning more from him. And, you know, I keep thinking perhaps in a few months' time, if I'm lucky enough to be able to get back onto Woody, how amazing is it going to feel after having lessons with this big horse to then get back on my comfy pair of slippers and start work again. So that's that. Thank you so much for watching this week's video, and I hope to see you next week, hopefully next Friday at 4 p.m. GMT. Bye for now.